A recent study indicated that only 54% of young people in America said their future looks bright. The unemployment rate may stay between 9 and 10% throughout 2011. It's no longer business as usual, and politics is not the issue. It is time to challenge our current assumptions and create new possibilities. But have we lost our collective ability to move beyond obstacles and see possibilities? Our speaker today has been a student of possibility thinking since 1984. Since 1994, she's been traveling the world helping people see possibilities in their businesses. She's taught possibility thinking to audiences as diverse as Microsoft, American Express, and ASTV. Today she's going to share the 3 entry points into the cycle of possibility so we can access more possibilities in our businesses and our lives. Please welcome Merit Guest.
It was September of 1984, just before my sophomore year at White Plains High. I was sulking, sitting at the dinner table, poking at my food. So when my father asked me what's wrong, I said, I just want to be Tammy DeLevy. Who's Tammy DeLevy? She's the captain of the cheerleading team. She's dating Chris Dole, and she's the most popular girl in school. Well, I thought that was a perfectly reasonable explanation, and before you know it, my father would probably want to be Tammy DeLevy too. But instead he said, how do you know this Tammy DeLevy isn't sitting at dinner right now so she would marry Khan? Yeah, Dad. And Tom Cruise is sitting at dinner right now wishing he was you. Then he had a genius attack. Why don't you try out for cheerleading? Seriously? Because I'm too short. I can't do backflip. Every girl in school tries out for cheerleading and I'll never make it. Well, who chiseled that over the door? This was the man's favorite saying. And he used it anytime anyone said anything couldn't be done. Here's how it worked. Dad, I'll never get an A in chemistry. Who chiseled that over the door? Dad, I am too young to be a sales manager. Who chiseled that over the door? Dad. You can't return something after 30 days without a receipt.
Who chiseled that over the door?
I'm not even sure where this saying came from. My dad didn't own any chisels. But he had that phrase in his back pocket ready to go. So we live in a time where we're encouraged to challenge our assumptions. And yet some of us are still stuck. You know somebody, maybe someone at work, someone in your family, maybe even yourself, can tell you exactly what they don't want, but not what they do. I'm sure you know somebody who's got a good idea to improve a process, a product, or profitability. They don't take action on it, because there's no guarantee that their effort will pay off. You've seen somebody at work, and they're so busy trying not to lose their job. There's just no energy left to improve it. Have to be that way. Imagine you and the people around you could break out of the cycle of mediocrity, break into the cycle of possibility. That's exactly what happens every single time my dad asks this famous question. See, the question changes the outcome. All right, so Crystal never asked me. I did make the cheerleading team. My dad asked the question, then he helped me get clear about what I really wanted. He helped me to see that I could do it. And then he encouraged me to take initiative and make it happen. You can be a possibility thinker just like my dad. Today I'm going to show you how to do just that. See, growing up I thought everyone was a possibility thinker. So it was actually surprising to me when Stephen and Daniel showed up in the sales training class I was teaching. They were both hired by the same company at the same time. Both had the same amount of experience. They sat next to each other in class. And yet Stephen had extraordinary results, quadrupled his sales less than 6 months. And Daniel's production stayed flat. That got me intensely curious. What is it that has one person use what they learn and not another? What is it that has one person see more possibilities for themselves and not another? So I started studying. left brain, right brain, old brain, new brain, law of attraction, positive psychology, redecision therapy, emotional intelligence. Heck, I looked at astrology and numerology and a bunch of other ologies. I mean, I looked at the 50 most influential speeches of all time, the top 100 most significant leaders throughout history, and yeah, I get it. I was a little bit obsessed about the question. But, you know, typing it into Wikipedia wasn't cutting it, and I really wanted to know the answer. So I kept researching and reading, and I thought about my dad. And that's when the pattern emerged. There's a cycle possibility, and there are 3 entry points into the cycle. And it doesn't matter where you enter from, only that you do. First entry point into the cycle of possibility is clarity. I used to think that all you really needed to be clear about were your goals and your action plans to get you there. But if that were true, then Stephen and Daniel would have both had amazing results because they both had the same sales plan. What was different about Stephen was that he knew why he worked. He was clear about what he valued most in life, and when you acknowledge your values, they begin to work for you. They become your drivers, and they get you where you want to go. Drivers are what propel Stephen to keep taking action and seeing more possibilities when it was early, when it was late, when it was tough, when he just didn't feel like it. Ray Anderson is the CEO of Interface Incorporated. Ray's clarity about being the biggest carpet manufacturing business in the world propelled him to grow a $1 billion company. And then he read Paul Hawkins' book, The Ecology of Commerce, which suggested that industry is systematically destroying the planet, and the only people in a position to stop the destruction are the industrialists themselves. And almost immediately, Ray redecided his drivers, and now sees the possibility of a company that leaves zero negative impact on the environment in 2020. We each need clarity about what drives us when we ask ourselves, what's driving me right now? Not driving me crazy, driving me. And like Ray, we need to review those drivers, and we need to redecide those that no longer serve. In a longer workshop, we would do an interactive experience. You would get an opportunity on getting clear about the drivers that are most important to you right now. But for today, in your goodie bag, we each have a deck of driver cards. Apparently in a child-proof box. Each card has a word that may represent a core value for you. So what you want to do is look at each card, not necessarily right now, and separate the deck into 2 piles. You got your pile that are words that are important to you, and a discard pile for those that are unimportant. You want to keep eliminating cards until you're left with the top 5 that are important to you right now. It's a good time. You've heard of the final 4. This is the final 5. It's just as exciting, except, well, maybe nobody's in Vegas making millions of dollars on your outcome. But to you, clarity about your drivers will be priceless. See, decision making is easy. And we see more possibilities with our top 5 drivers right in front of us. Possibility thinkers challenge their assumptions and create new possibilities. So the first entry point into the cycle of possibility is clarity. The second entry point into the cycle of possibility is optimism. Possibility thinkers see setbacks as a blip, not a dip, because they ask themselves, chiseled? You'll get it by the next time. Joan Nance Cooney was told that television was only good to keep children occupied. She was optimistic that she would be able to use the power of television to help prepare young children for school. She created a little program I'm sure you've seen called Sesame Street. President Kennedy was undoubtedly told by people around him that sending a man to the moon, impossible. He was clear about his vision and optimistic that America could be the first. Justin Bieber, big Bieber fan? Took second place in the singing competition at age 12. Clear about his passion, optimistic about his future, became a top 10 best-selling artist at age 17. By the way, is the rumor true, Julie, that Justin's going to be doing next year's show talk, never say never? Psychologist Martin Seligman is the author of the book Learned Optimism, and he says that you can learn to be more optimistic. In fact, he developed the ABCs of optimism. Adversity leads to beliefs that lead to consequences. So by studying the adversity in our life, we can discover where our beliefs came from and the consequences they create. What if we take his work one step further? What if we also look at the positive experiences in our lives? Because we make up beliefs about the good things that happen to us too. Yeah, we go a lot farther, a lot faster, by building on our strengths instead of just trying to fix our weaknesses. So imagine the timeline of your life, straight horizontal line across the center of a page. All the way on the left is the date you were born. All the way on the right is today. If you were to plot the points above and below the line to represent the high and low points of your life, for example, that's my driver's license. Crashed the car. Got my first job. Got fired. Got a better job. Got married. Had a kid. You know, if you were to go back and then connect the dots, you would see that not only have you bounced back after bad things, but that the overall lifetime trend is getting better and better. Seeing it on paper allows you to see setbacks as temporary. See, possibility thinkers don't let setbacks define them. They outline them. Think of a tree. To determine the age of a tree, you count the rings. The wife tree says to the husband's tree, "Do these rings make you look fat?" You could say that the outer ring outlines the tree, but does not define it. The tree is more than that outer ring. Some people are like a tree that's been infested with a pine beetle. Boring through the bark, the pine beetle leaves a fungus that blocks the flow of water and nutrients, so the tree starves and dies. Some people let setbacks infect their thinking and block them in the same way. According to attribution theory, high achievers believe their success is largely due to their ability and effort. And any failure is due to bad luck or circumstances which is beyond their control. Low achievers would say the opposite is true. Their success is largely based on chance. And they don't even acknowledge their own talent or work. Our perceptions of the events in our lives that lead us to create possibilities shut them out. I was 9 when I set the record for selling Girl Scout cookies in Westchester County. Was it Julie? Who's our Girl Scout over here? Girl Scout? There was the story. Jody, you're not going to like this story. I mean, it was such a big deal. You remember the night? I remember bursting with excitement when we were going to get our patches for the ceremony. It was such a big deal. In fact, my grandparents flew in from Chicago to be there. Oh, I mean, they also had to bring home 200 boxes of cookies that they bought. But anyway. So we're all seated in the library at 6 o'clock. We're waiting for our truth leader. 6:15. 6:30. 6:45. By 7 o'clock, we all left, empty-handed. 2 days later, find out our troop leader skipped town. With the cookie money! Sorry. Mrs. Nagle. Okay. Let's just say I had trust issues after that. Now imagine I show up to work in your company. I'm good, so you promote me to manager, and you teach me to supervise, strategize, forecast, budget, train, coach, and motivate, inspire. And every single person that I manage finds their way back into your office to complain. And they don't all say the same thing, but it's the same general idea. They all say something like, I don't know what it is about Merritt. It's like she just doesn't trust us to do our job. And they'd be right. Because my troop leader skipped town with the cookie money. However, as we left the library that night, and I declared, you can't trust anybody, was optimistic that I would be able to trust people again. Except Sean. So, the first entry point into the cycle of possibility is clarity. Second entry point into the cycle of possibility is optimism. Third entry point into the cycle of possibility is initiative. Possibility thinkers take steps to bring their clarity and optimism to fruition. It was August of 2009 when my Aunt Linda called and told me she'd been talking with a genetic counselor about the cancer that is on every branch of our family tree. There's a blood test, she said, called BRCA, and it can tell you if you have an elevated risk. I hung up the phone, I called my doctor, I made an appointment for the very next day. And then I thought about it, and I thought about the surgeries and the recoveries, thought about insurance, money, business, family. And I got myself so worked up, I just canceled the test. It took me about 5 months to get all the insurance paperwork in order, and I used every minute of that time to just try to prepare myself mentally, just in case. So when the phone rang on December 30th, even though I was expecting the call, I saw my doctor's number on caller ID, and I just stared at it. Let it ring, ring, ring. I mean, I really wanted to know, but I was so scared. Maybe it was better not to know. Maybe ignorance is bliss. Maybe I could just pretend I didn't even know about the test in the first place. Maybe I could pick it up and pretend it was a wrong number. I just didn't know if I could handle the truth. Guess what? It was positive. My risk of ovarian cancer was 54%. And the likelihood that I would get breast cancer in my lifetime was 87%. You know, if we were to go over to the airport, if you're standing in line waiting for your flight and you hand your boarding pass to the gate agent and she says to you, "Thank you for flying with us today, and by the way, there's an 87% chance we're going to crash. Have a nice flight. Bye-bye." I'm thinking, you're walking to Milwaukee. I didn't know what to do. I called my dad. Dad, there's a 87% chance I'm going to get breast cancer. What do you think he said? Within 120 days, I had a total hysterectomy. I had a double bilateral mastectomy, and I began reconstruction surgery. I got rid of a whole lot of body parts, healthy body parts, before they could kill me. Survivors fight with everything they can to beat a disease. Previvors are clear about their risk and fight with everything they can to reduce it. Today, my risk is less than 2%. I didn't let this gene mutation define me. I did, however, let it outline me. My dad's question saved my life. So my challenge to you today is, where's an area? How could you bring possibility thinking into an area of your life that just is impossible, it feels difficult, or it's just tiring you out? How could an infusion of possibility thinking in your business impact your sales, your innovation, your productivity, your profits? How could an infusion of possibility thinking in your family impact your closest relationships? You know, my favorite movie of all time is The Wizard of Oz. And what I love about it is that each character had the trait they were seeking inside them all the time. So the Scarecrow thought he didn't have a brain. The wizard took him aside and said, there's a lot of people less brainy than you, but they have something you don't have. Oma. So in your folders, you have a certificate of merit. It certifies you as a possibility thinker because it's always been inside you. You're meant to grow and expand and create new possibilities. It's the natural law. So go ahead and put your name on it. Hang it on your wall. I also give you a second certificate. I want you to put someone else's name on it. Acknowledge them as a possibility thinker. The next time you're faced with an impossible situation, ask yourself Thank you.
Laurie Guest, CSP, is well known for her imaginative ideas and